Howdy peeps, I'm Lance, host of Join the Journey Radio, and welcome to another wonderful episode of The World of Ted, where we discuss how single Latter-day Saints can learn, live, and love truly enjoyable dating. Now, in the last episode of The World of Ted, we looked at an online article from the Learn Religions website where, the author was, first of all, we had some questions about whether the author was a real Latter-day Saint, but the article was supposed to be about, how do you know who to marry? And if you remember, there at the very beginning of the article, there was that hyperlink to, like the rules and guidelines for LDS dating. And I thought that was kind of strange. Like, where's this stuff written down, right? Who's actually written down the rules and guidelines for Latter-day Saint singles to be dating? So I went and followed the link, and let's just pull this up. Let me just show you what actually came out of it. If I can just, I'll pull this up here and you'll see. Okay, here we go. We're talking about LDS suggestions and guidelines for righteous dating. Now notice the rules went away. There are no more rules. Now it's suggestions. Okay, suggestions for righteous dating. Oh, just with a title like that, it just give you goosebumps. Doesn't it make you feel all gushy inside? Like, it's going to be so good. All right, here it says, plan simple and inexpensive dates while holding firm high standards. That's the subtitle. Okay, well, remember the last article that we read here. It was, the title was more clickbait than anything, because the article was filled with a bunch of filler material. And so if we scroll down here, we see, here's our good friend, Rachel Bruder. Or is it Brunner? I don't know. I'm not trying to, slaughter the name. I just don't know how to pronounce it. But again, this article was written in 2017. So 2 years before the article that we talked about in the last episode of The World of Ted. Here they actually get the name of the church right. As members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we have high standards regarding LDS dating. I'd say that's the understatement. And it's not just from the aspect of, the perspectives that naturally result from embracing church doctrine. The high standards are also things that are just so way out of whack, and there's been lots of talk about this on the internet over the past, 2 or 3 years at least, about how people that are dating today, especially women, have amazingly unrealistically high standards in who they're willing to date. And, there are men out there who have unrealistic dating standards too. So I don't want to be singling out one gender or the other. Again, like I said last week, this really is a channel for men and women to come together and learn about truly enjoyable dating. And we don't have truly enjoyable dating if we have a battle of the sexes going on. So, we're just not going to go there. But, there is something to be said about unrealistically high standards that a lot of people in the dating arena have today. And it's not just out in the world. It has come into the world of LDS singles. It is there, and it's very prevalent. And quite frankly, it's a reason why many of us are not single. It's not the reason, but it plays into the reason why many of us Latter-day Saints who are still single are still single. Mormon youth are counseled to wait to date. Now, when I read this, I was like, what? Seriously? Okay, first of all, you're linking from an article that talks about how to know who to marry. And now you're bringing me to this article about the rules, which of course the rules went away. And now we're talking about the youth who aren't going to be in any sort of position to be married. I just, I read this and I just get a little uneasy, a little suspicious. especially since the last was, and here we've got our good friend Rachel coming in and writing this article too. So, it's like, yeah, my expectations are too high here. So here we've got the guidelines. Wait till you're 16. Inspired counsel from Latter-day Prophets. When followed, it brings blessings. Hazards exist if you date before you're emotionally and mentally able to deal with the physical feelings that come from serious relationships. You have an entire section just to say what could be said in this one, this one sentence right here. You could combine all of this into one sentence, one carefully written, crafted sentence. Filler material. There's going to be some filler material in this. I just know it. Only date those with high moral standards. Choosing someone to date, look for and date only those people who have high moral standards. If you're unsure, at least wait until you are sure of that person's character. Again, you want to be assessing direction. This is what we got into last time. You want to assess direction and not position, direction. And it takes time to ascertain someone's direction. Also keep in mind that there are stages in your dating journey. So the first stage of the dating journey is friendship. You want to spend some time in the friendship stage before you start moving to the next stage, which is the casual dating stage. Spending sufficient time in each stage of your journey, helps you to inquire well. We talked about last time where you've got, that famous quote from then Elder Oaks, from his 2007 April General Conference address about divorce. He said, if you want to marry well, inquire well. Well, yeah. How do you inquire well if you don't take the time for the inquiry to be made and the time for the answer to that inquiry to come? Because sometimes the answers to our questions don't really come right away. And especially when you're trying to ascertain someone's direction, what direction are they headed in, then it takes time. So spend some time in, the early stages of your journey. You'll have a much better journey. You don't get truly enjoyable dating if you don't have the time for the joy to come in and be felt. Yeah, so again, I'm seeing a lot of filler material here. A good question to ask yourself when contemplating a possible date: ask if the person lives gospel standards. I'm sorry, you know what? 50 years ago, when our grandparents were dating, that was probably a good rule of thumb. It's not a rule of thumb anymore. I'm sorry, it just isn't. There's so many people who keep the standards who really aren't that committed to the gospel. They're active in church, but they're not active in the gospel. And really what you want is not someone who just lives the standards, like they're going to check a box off a list. What you really want is someone who's dyed in the wool, who's really converted inside. That's what you really want. And so I would rephrase this. Do not date someone you know will tempt you to compromise your standards or your virtue. It is better to not date. I can't stand these split infinitives. It's like, fingernails on a chalkboard for me. I just like, it is better not to date than to date someone who does not respect you. As a son or daughter of God, you have a right to be respected, as well as respect those you date. Okay, that's fine. You want someone with high moral standards. You don't need a whole section on it, though. Again, just a simple sentence is all you really need. Avoid dating anyone who cannot marry in the temple. As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ, you are strongly encouraged to only date. Split infinitive again. You are encouraged to date only other members of our faith. Because of our high standards, we believe in only dating those who respect and keep the commandments of Jesus Christ. I take issue with that. I take strong issue with that. Because this sentence right here seems to suggest or imply, in the very least, that if you're not a member of the church, then you don't respect and keep the commandments of Jesus Christ. And I'm here to tell you, there are a lot of people outside our faith who are examples, shining examples of their understanding of Christianity. And to go in and say that, well, if you don't accept our standard, because this is what a lot of the born agains, for example, do to us. They look to us and say, well, you don't live our standard of Christianity. You don't live our understanding of what it means to be a Christian. And so therefore, you're not a Christian. And you don't follow Jesus Christ. You follow some aberration. Well, I'm sorry. I can't abide that. I can't go with that. There are plenty of people who love Jesus Christ, and just because they have a different understanding of who Jesus Christ is than what I have, I'm sorry, I'm not going to put them down. I'm not going to say that they disrespect the Savior because their understanding is somehow incomplete. There are reasons why their understanding is not complete. Don't get me wrong. I believe that those who are outside of our faith do not have a complete understanding of the Savior. But there are many people inside our faith who also don't have a complete understanding of the Savior. So, this type of language, I don't even want to go near anywhere in this type of language. Because of our high standards, we believe in only dating those who respect and keep the commandments of Jesus Christ. No, the reason why we have been counseled to date within the faith is because only those who are within the faith can take us to the temple. It's all about the temple, the covenants that can be made only in the temple. That's why we're counseled to date within the faith. And I understand, there's a lot of people out there who, because of the situation that they get into, they make a decision to date outside the faith. I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to knock. Now, me personally, I would rather be single for the rest of my life than date somebody outside the faith. And don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of very attractive opportunities to date outside the faith. Extremely attractive. And I've turned every one of them down because I want to make the covenants that can be obtained only within the house of the Lord. And so for me, it's the temple or nothing. And that's the decision I made a long time ago. And I've stuck to it all these years. And I intend to continue sticking to it. That's the decision that I've made for me. But because I made that decision for myself, that doesn't mean that, I look at other people and say, well, this is my standard, so therefore it applies to you as well. I apply my standards to me and me only. And I don't judge other people. Let them make what standard they want. If you want to go outside the faith because of, whatever, that's you. That's you. I'm not going to judge you for that. We can still be friends. If you're not going to the temple, then, I'm sorry. I don't care how good of a look. I don't care how physically attractive a woman you are. We will not be dating. Period. It's just not going to happen. I'll be friends. I'll be the best of friends with you. But we're not going to date. It's not going to happen. Because I'm going to the temple. I want those blessings available only in the house of the Lord. I take serious issue with what's written here. The experiences you gain from dating will prepare you for temple marriage. Chances of happy, healthy temple marriage are much greater if you only date other Latter-day Saints who uphold the same standards. You think? Considering that you have to be a member in order to go into the temple for the marriage ceremony, don't you think you'd have a higher chance of, marrying somebody who can take you to the temple if you only date within the faith? It's not rocket science. And yet that's the entirety of this section. Again, more filler material. It's just, I'm already, it's like, if I see the name of this author again somewhere else, I'm not even going to bother reading the article. I'm not. I'm already just so turned off from this. Refrain from steady dating. You should avoid dating the same person too regularly. Again, back with the youth thing. What's up with the youth thing? Who's the audience for this article? It is also best to wait until you are older to steadily date someone such as after high school and even after former mission. Former president and prophet Gordon B. Hinckley warned, and he's got this great quote here, which, President Hinckley talked about, steady dating while you're young. But I'm sorry, this is awkward expression. Former president and prophet. Are you really a Latter-day Saint? Really? I mean, I understand that, okay, this website is aimed at people who are outside the faith to try to build bridges of understanding amongst people of different religions. I got that. But you really need to take a look at this and ask yourself, who is your real audience here? Because I got to tell you, this is not something that I don't think this is the best. This is the best way to represent the faith accurately. It's not the most accurate representation. Let me just put it that way. Because we wouldn't speak this way. Former president and prophet? No. We would never say that. Former president of the church, we'd say that. We would never say former prophet. And in that case, it would be prophet capitalized with a capital P. Okay, the prophet is the one who's living now and serving as the president of the church. And once he dies, he's still a prophet. He's just not the prophet with a capital P. He's a prophet with a lowercase p. So, again, group and double dating. Okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna do this. This is a youth thing. Come on, this is a youth thing. LDS dating and the law of chastity. Here we go again. More filler material. You watched the last episode. I've said everything there that I'm going to say about here. So there's that. Preparing for a mission in temple marriage. Again, this is more like stuff for the youth. So how is this guidelines? How is this the rules for LDS dating? If you're basically talking about young people who are minors. I'm sorry. No, it's completely misleading. If fun yet simple LDS dating ideas. Dating does not have to be expensive. Extravagant, expensive dates will unnecessarily limit your dating experiences. I agree with that. Simple, inexpensive dates will increase your dating experiences and limit the number of people you are acquainted with. Did I read that right? Simple, inexpensive dates will increase your dating experiences and the number of people you are acquainted with. Yep, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly, 100%. Because here's the deal, right? We tend to siphon ourselves off. We filter out a lot of great possibilities for ourselves because we're too stringent in our requirements. We don't have high tolerances for what's actually coming in to our dating pool, right? The people that we would actually agree to go on a casual date with. And that's the other thing. We're talking about dating. You've got to make the distinction between casual dating and exclusive dating. Casual dating is where you're essentially playing the field, which is actually, I know the thing about a player, somebody's just playing games, but that has a negative aspect to it. But I'm here to tell you, playing the field is actually a very healthy way to date, because what you want to do in the casual dating stage of your journey is you want to get yourself exposed to a lot of different people so that you can make comparisons about what's good for you and what's not good for you. The best way to make those comparisons is with experience. And the best way to get that experience is to date a whole bunch of people. So playing the field is a healthy way to pursue casual dating. Now, when you go into exclusive dating, now the commitment level's higher. Now you've got some, you've got more justification for being a little bit more picky. But there at the very beginning, no. You want to be dating lots and lots of different people. And too often we restrict ourselves because we take those standards that we apply at the last stage of our dating journey, the marriage stage, and we bring them up front. By taking the standards from the back end and bringing it to the front end, we confuse everything. Everything gets mismatched. And we basically obstruct our own progress in our dating journey. So if you want to make more progress, you need to open yourself up to more possibilities, because in many ways, the convoluted backwards way that we approach dating, we are ourselves our worst obstacles. We're holding ourselves back from making the progress that we could be making. If only we just got this up here, the thinking that goes on in this part of our body. We need to get this part straight. Because once we get this part straight, then everything else that comes out is going to be a lot more straight. But if this part up here is all messed up and confused, guess what's going to happen out here? Everything's all messed up and confused. So the way you think determines the reality that you're going to live with. It really does. And, like I said last episode, it took me a long time to really understand that. But once I got it, and I started living by it, embracing it, my life changed. And I started experiencing a lot more joy in my life, even though I was not one iota less single. And that's something that you can experience in your life. You can have joy in your life. And you can, regardless of whatever circumstances you're in. Because really, it's not about the external circumstances in which you find yourself. It's what's going on inside of you and what you bring to whatever is that's outside of you. It's all from inside. It's all from in here. So you get good with you and get good on the inside, and then you can come back at the outside. But I'm sorry. This article was just nothing. Nothing. It was nothing but fluff and clickbait. Here's something interesting. So, updated by Krista Cook. Who's Krista Cook? Let's find out who Krista is. This looks like it looks like it's linking here. So, another LDS expert. I'm just fascinated. Here we've got an education profile. So we've got a PhD from Virginia Tech, Master in Library Science from Emporia State, Master of Public Administration from that Provo school. Yeah, you notice I don't even say the name of it. There are reasons for that, which I could get into later. And a BA from that same Provo school. So look at this, 7th generation Utah Mormon. Like, that means anything. That doesn't mean anything. What is that? I mean, that sort of implies that people who live in Utah, we know things about, the Latter-day Saint faith that nobody else knows. And I'm here to tell you, it's just, if you're from Utah, I don't hate you, but we're not necessarily friends either, because there's a different culture in Utah that just runs me raw. And it's a culture that's slightly different from what you see anywhere else in the church. And so there is a difference between a member of the church in Utah and a member of the church outside of Utah. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate people from Utah, but I just don't gravitate to that. I'm sorry. I'm of a different bent. BA and MPA from that Provo school. Again, PhD from Virginia Tech. So this right here doesn't really tell me much, except that she's steeped in that Utah culture experience. Here we're citing again, 7th generation Utah Mormon, who covers topics related to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Her personal LDS blog has been featured many times in the Deseret News, the Salt Lake City newspaper owned by the church. She previously worked as a professor at both the graduate and undergraduate level. Krista and her husband met on an LDS Singles. What is this, a typo? Did you forget the word? What is it? LDS Singles website? LDS Singles conference? LDS Singles cruise? LDS Singles activity? What? There's something missing here. And we're sealed in the Denver LDS Temple. And again, we're going back over the education again. A message from Krista Cook. Oh, there is no message from Krista Cook. Wow, she's really got a lot to say. all that education, not much to say. Here we go. Learn religions in dot dash. Okay, this is about the company that owns the Learn Religions website. So, yeah, and then you can read more from Krista down below if you want. So, yeah, essentially what we're seeing here is just, again, more filler material. I wish they wouldn't do this. I mean, all this clickbait nonsense, but it's okay. I mean, I'm starting to feature some of this stuff on the program here, The World of TED, because that's just, it gives us good room for discussion, right? Even though it's nonsense, and it's like things that are really good mixed with a whole bunch of nonsense and filler material. And so we weed out the filler material and the nonsense. We focus in on just the good things, and then that gives us some fodder for actually having discussions about the principles, the fundamental principles of dating. How do we get true enjoyable dating from our dating journey? So again, here we are at the end. That's it for this episode of The World of TED. Please comment down below, keep the conversation going. Come back next time for another wonderful episode where we explore how to embrace truly enjoyable dating. See you then.